Hello. I should shave a little bit. I should trim it up to where it looks more even. Hello. Welcome. Talking about football, talking about the NFL, talking about ASMR, I guess. I might take these off because I feel like I was better without them. I broke my regular glasses. When I get regular ones fixed. I think the reason I don't like these as much is because they have a bottom part of the frame. And I think the bottom part of the frame kind of like makes my eyes look more round. It doesn't quite work for my face. It's kind of long, you know what I mean? That's talking about my face. Oh, hello and goodbye, person who doesn't like me talking about my face. No one's here yet. Hello, 4 people. Hi, hello, welcome, welcome, welcome. I have a Capri Sun in my hand. I'm thirsty a little bit, so I'm gonna take a sip of that before I get started. What I have ready for us today is a whole completed mock draft with no trades, but I also have a few mock drafts on the side of that. That is with the first 10 picks and a little bit after that of mock drafts with trades, because I do think there will be some trades. Capri Suns, man. So what I did for each of the top 10 teams, let me show you what I did. Hello, 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 hello. Let me show you what I did for each of the top 10 teams. Oh, I lied. Okay. I did this for each of the top teams that weren't Carolina or Houston, because they pick 1 and 2, and they're both going to take a quarterback, so I don't really need to evaluate that. I have the Arizona Cardinals needs right here. There's more, like, there's also who they cut, who they signed, what they need, because I looked at the depth chart, and a lot of teams, what they'll do is they'll kind of telegraph what they're going to do. And by that, I mean they'll, the burp, but I'm fighting it. They have, they have certain weaknesses in the roster. Most teams going into every season will have a starter at every position, like a starter. No one who's starting that shouldn't be. Even if it's questionable, they'll still have it. Like, for instance, with the Cardinals, I think they could draft Will Anderson. Sure, he's the best defensive player on the board that isn't named Jalen Carter. Jalen Carter technically would fit their needs more because they need a defensive tackle more than they need a defensive edge. But Carter has personality issues, which he's had some questionable decisions. That's all. But they have, sure they have that. They're pretty weak roster. But when you look at their cornerbacks, they have a starting nickel corner, which means the slot corner. They have a starting slot cornerback and 1.5 safeties. They don't have any boundary corners that are worth starting. Whenever that happens, that either means they're going to get desperate at the end of free agency, or the more likely route is that they plan to draft corners. I'm a Falcons fan, Mr. Jose. They plan to draft corners early on and start both of them. And when you look at the Cardinals picks, they have 2 picks in the third, and 1 in the second, which is at the very top of the second, but then also 1 here. They only have 8 picks this year. Sure, 8 picks is more than the standard, but not by much. Also, this year's kind of going to be a punt year for them. So I'm going to talk about the teams before I get into the mock draft, I guess. It's going to be, I call it a punt year, because Kyler Murray, their quarterback, he's their quarterback. He is hurt. He hurt towards ACL, I believe, which means he'll be out for the majority of the year for next year. In that sense, means you're kind of giving away free wins because like quarterback's kind of the most important position. So it's you when you have a superstar there and you no longer have that superstar and it's already not a very good team, that you should just take the loss in the year, take the L's, get in prime draft position again. And I think they know that. And I think that's why they are also shopping to trade back. I think they want a first rounder next year, but I don't think they're gonna get it. I think there's a few potential candidates to trade back, and I think there's about 4 of them, maybe even 5, that are in a range that is not only tempting, but won't cost that much for the trading up team in theory. I'll elaborate when I get to those. So that's Arizona's situation. They could easily stay put and take Will Anderson, or they could trade back and accumulate draft picks for a year that they actually should be competitive next year. Moving on to pick number 4. Let's just talk about 1 and 2 real fast. Pick 1, Carolina. They're trading up for C.J. Stroud. They made the right decision in trading up because they were sitting at 9, and I don't know if you know this much about how this draft is going to go. 1 second. Hello. Yes. Carolina traded up to 1 from pick 9, and pick 9 is a awful spot to want to draft a quarterback because when you look at the teams that are above them, there is Chicago wasn't a risk to draft a quarterback, but they're now at 9. No, so number 1 was not at risk to draft a quarterback. Number 2 is definitely trying to draft a quarterback. Number 3 is not at risk to draft a quarterback, but they could easily trade back to. Number 4 is almost definitely going to draft a quarterback. Number 5 could. Number 6 could. Number 7 likely will. Number 8 probably won't, but could. And now they're back to 9. Like, almost, 7 of the teams ahead of them have a likelihood, a possibility to draft a quarterback. So now that you know he's in the room, if he makes a bunch of noise, I'm going to move him to the other room. But if he keeps being quiet, then he gets to stay. Yes, I'm looking at him. Oh, you're too kind, my man. Thank you. Cool. Mr. Friend, Mr. T. Hush gave us a $2. Thank you for this little thing back. I was waiting for $2. Can yeah. Thank you. I think he's gonna behave. Thank you, Mr. T. Hush. So 7 teams ahead of them could have drafted a quarterback. Awful spot to be in if I'm Carolina. Trading up from 9 to 1. They gave away a lot for it. They gave away the number 1 receiver, their first round pick next year, their second round pick next year, and then a second round pick this year. That's not too much, honestly, when it comes to now having flexibility with taking a quarterback. I say flexibility. Thank you. I've been brewing it for a minute because I wanted to make sure I had my talking points thought out before I go into it because I have a lot and I could go like a million miles, million different directions at once, but I don't want to do that. I want to go in order so it seems logical and easy to follow. Yeah, thank you. Back where I was saying, 7 spots ahead of them, you don't want that. So instead, they trade up to number 1, and now they have flexibility. They say, "Oh, we don't mind trading back from pick number 1." I'm sure that has legitimacy. But I feel like that's more so a smokescreen for two teams. And those two teams are the Houston Texans, who pick at number 2, and the Houston Texans, who pick at... Sorry, no, the Houston Texans. I already said the Houston Texans pick at 2, and the other team, the Indianapolis Colts, who pick at 4. Now there's 3 or 4 quarterbacks who could go in the top 10. I would say there's going to be 4, but if you ask me how many go in the top 5, I think it's going to be 3. I think it's going to be 3. Carolina may have... I think they did a great job, and I think if they stay at 1 and take C.J. Stroud like they should, like they want, they will be a good team and have made a good decision. If they overthink it and try and get greedy with their actions, which I kind of don't want them to, they can trade back from 1 to pick 4 with the Indianapolis Colts, because they're like, hey, we're gonna take Anthony Richardson, and say for some reason Jeremy Irsay has fallen in love with Anthony Richardson and doesn't like C.J. Stroud, doesn't like Bryce Young nearly as much as the idea of Anthony Richardson. So the Colts trade up from 4 to 1. And the Colts take Anthony Richardson in an attempt to be like, oh wow, we got our guy. So the Colts take Richardson. He's still gonna go in the top 4 regardless. Well, in the top 5 regardless, probably. So he goes 1. Wow, the Panthers feel like they're masterminds. They feel brilliant. Their guy who they actually want is still on their board too, and he's probably gonna fall to them. All right, well, pick number 2 goes, and here goes Bryce Young to Houston, like everybody expected. Wow, Bryce Young went to Houston. Carolina's thinking, okay, now we just need Arizona to take Will Anderson, and then we get our guy. Guess fucking what? Someone like the Raiders or someone like the Lions would trade up to pick number 3 in that case with Arizona so fast to take C.J. Stroud. Anthony Richardson, that's up in the air. But C.J. Stroud, if he's available at 3, someone's going up to get him. That's a fact. I feel like that's the same thing can be said for Bryce Young. So I feel like when those things are taken into account, the nightmare scenario is for the Panthers to trade back from 1 to 4. The dream scenario is to trade back from 1 to 2. But trade back from 1 to 4, and then you are stuck with the last team trading up with Arizona to take AR. Not that AR take C.J. Stroud in the 3rd spot ahead of where Carolina would take him. Now Carolina has 2 options here. They're picking at 4. Well, they have 3 options. Let's be real. They have 3 options. They have Will Levis, Will Anderson. 2 Wills. Look at that. Quarterback, defensive end. You got either guy who you need, who makes sense that you traded up for, Will Levis, who could be bad. He could be very bad, but he's got a cannon, so you can at least develop that. Might not be good at all, but he's got a cannon. That's the risk you run. Is he worth the 4th overall pick? That's a question that's on a lot of people's minds. And I think a lot of people don't think he is, which I think is why Indianapolis is feeling some pressure to move up. Because the drop off from 2 to 3 is significant, but the top 2 picks are kind of solidified. So from 2 to 3 is a bit of a drop, but from 3 to 4 is even more of a drop. So that's why I think the nightmare scenario for the Panthers is that they have to take Will Levis at 4 or take Will Anderson and have him rotate in, and then not re-signing Brian Burns. Save some money, but is that really what you want to do as a team? No, you want to build. Or they could trade back and then try to take Will Levis. But at that point, you're risking Seattle, Detroit, then the Raiders. One of the teams any of those teams that didn't trade up to take C.J. Stroud in the scenario, they risk taking that spot. Is that worth it? sounds like so much anxious and anxiety that, okay, well, someone else is going to take the guy you kind of don't want. And now you have to take a quarterback in the top of the second. Well, what was the point of trading all those draft picks? Did you get more in the process? Probably not. Probably, yeah, but like, I don't know. I don't think it would be worth it. That's my discussion on the Panthers. I wanted to get all that before I get disgusted and distracted. Okay, you guys might hear background noise a little bit. I'm gonna try and turn that I turn my mic down a little bit in hopes that I won't catch it as much. Hello, Mr. Packers fan. I appreciate you being so kind. I have the Packers pick in here. Don't worry. We're gonna get to the mock draft and talk, and I'm gonna go through the entire thing of it. Like it's no trades. I'm gonna go through the entire no trades version of it, and then I'm gonna talk more about the other ones. Pick 2 is Houston. They also have pick 12, which is much more interesting for them. Pick 2 is going to be a quarterback. It's going to be C.J. Stroud, but it's going to be Bryce Young. They could trade up to pick 1 and in an anxious fit and take the quarterback they want. And they could just stay at 2, which I think is what they'll do. Moving on to pick 4, which is Indianapolis. They are feeling in an anxious spot to trade up. I explained why, because the top 2 quarterbacks, there's a small drop-off between them, and then there's a bigger drop-off between 2 to 3, and then a fairly large drop-off from 3 to 4. And they're sitting at 4, and someone could trade up to 3. So now the thought process becomes, it shouldn't cost that much to trade up from 3 to 4. Sorry, from 4 to 3, right? It's so many draft picks they have. The Indianapolis Colts have 9 draft picks. That won't cost that much. But they have 3 fifth-round picks. I say Indianapolis offers a second-round pick for next year and a 5th-round pick this year, as well as a 4th-round pick this year, to go up and trade for that one spot. Like, sure, that might be a bit too much to move up one spot, but if it's to get the quarterback you want, I feel like it's worth it. That's something that they could do. They also need a starting cornerback, and a starting linebacker. Actually, no, they don't need a starting linebacker. They need another linebacker. They're like a rotational piece, as well as some other things like O-line. But the most pressing needs are quarterback and cornerback. Moving on to pick 5, we have the Seattle Seahawks, which also have 9 picks. But these ones are a bit more front-loaded, as their last pick is in the 6th round, and they have 2 fifth rounders, 1 fourth, 1 third, 2 seconds, and 2 firsts. Yeah, Seattle's sitting pretty. I think they are the true wild card of the first round, because they can go a lot of directions. Not only because they have like not that many needs, but they have a kind of a bit of a need at like almost every spot, but not by much, only by like one guy. It's kind of interesting. Like they need 3 offensive linemen on the inside. That's their big weakness. They need a center, a guard, and a guard. They need a slot receiver. They need a cornerback. And they need a defensive tackle and a defensive end. But like both those, they don't necessarily need. They just should stand to get better in that department. You can't draft an offensive lineman with the 5th pick unless they're like Thanos. Unless they literally just like throw people around like Juggernaut. Like, no. So that means they're going to be taking a probably defensive player. Because there's not a receiver that's good enough to be that. They could make a good cornerback duo, but I don't really see them doing that, given that they had such success drafting a guy in the 5th round who turned out to be the best corner in the rookie class. Even better than Sauce Gardner, in my opinion. You only need a slot receiver. You're not going to take that. And then the receivers are 5th overall pick worthy. Jackson Smith-Njigba is not 5th overall worthy. Tyree Wilson, Jalen Carter, Will Anderson. All 3 of those names are 5th overall pick worthy, and one of them will be there. at the very least, one of them will be there. Because, like, the top 2 picks are going to be quarterbacks. And let's say it goes quarterback, Will Anderson, and then the Colts are like, some other thing. The Jalen Carter. Well, Tyree Wilson's there. That's the worst scenario for them. They could go with the top corner and like Gonzalez, but like I guess I already explained why. I want to do that possible. I think they're sitting in a good spot. They could just standard draft whatever best comes to them. Moving on to the Detroit Lions, which is the pick 6. They are also a bit of a wild card. They have needs at spots, but that aren't like exactly first round pick spots, like tight end, nose tackle, linebacker. Those are their pressing needs. They could send an upgrade in other departments, sure, but like those the 3 spots, like they need a starter. They're picked at 6. You can't take any of those picks of there, at least not in this class. There's not a tight end worth that. There's not a nose tackle worth that, and there's not a linebacker worth that. So again, and you have a first round pick at pick 18, just like Seattle has a first round pick at pick 20. You can take the best player, no matter what position it is. You can take the best player on the board. Period. That's why I think that I think Seattle and I think Detroit both want Carter. Hi, buddy. Both want Carter. And some pets. You want to talk to? You want to come say something to the mic? No. Did I startle you? I startled you. Calm down, bud. You're okay. Okay, he goes. He said hello. Okay. So like I said, the Detroit Lions are in a great spot to just take the best player available. I think Seattle and Detroit are both hoping for Jalen Carter. Moving on to pick 7. I think the Raiders are going to take a quarterback in this first round. I think that's like a guaranteed thing. If not, then they'll take one in the second. Someone like to develop because they have Jimmy Garoppolo. Everyone knows that. Jimmy G's a starter. Jimmy G's going to start the whole year for them. I don't know what I'm going to do a new collab with him. I might mess around a little bit and do one. I have one that should be coming out soon. I don't like to spoil who it's with because then that doesn't usually work out well for me. So thank you, I appreciate that. I will probably want to do one with him soon. That's the thing, that we've collabed so much that our audiences are like super similar, which isn't a bad thing. But like collabs are really good for expanding your audiences. And so like I think we're kind of just letting each other grow more as a artist, and then kind of reconvene. You know what I mean? Because we just did a shout out for each other. So like it's not like, yeah. What I was saying about the Raiders is they have 2 quarterbacks on the roster. There's been rumors about the league going to 3 quarterbacks on the roster. And in addition to not only there being 2 quarterbacks on the roster, but there's one right here, Jimmy Garoppolo. He's starting the whole year, probably next year too. Guy whose name I've never read or heard of. Then nobody, literally nobody. Which means they're drafting a guy. Does that mean they want one in the first round? No, it doesn't mean that. It absolutely does not mean that. And normally in the Raiders sense, I'd be like, oh, they're 100%. They're like 100% doing it. But these are their needs. Like look at all that. Look at all of this. Sorry, all of that. Yeah, all of those are their needs. That's crazy. Luckily for the Raiders, they have 12 draft picks this year, so they absolutely have the firepower to go get the guy they want. They're sitting at 7. That's the ideal spot for Arizona. I think they're the best candidate to trade up with Arizona because they have 12 draft picks, and their head coach is a lunatic. So I definitely could see them trading up to pick 3 and taking Anthony Richardson. I personally think they would like Will Levis. So let me word it like this. Actually, I'll talk about it when I get to the draft. That's a couple picks. Not a couple picks, a couple things. The Atlanta Falcons pick 8. My team. We have telegraphed what we're going to do. There's 4 positions we plan to upgrade at the current moment. We've been talking to a free agent in one of those departments, which likely means that we would not be looking for as highly of a draft pick in that round, which would kind of signal 3 positions instead. And even so, I think they've made it very clear that they are interested in one position in the first round, and then the others in the later rounds, and that's edge. They are looking at edge. There has been talks that they would not take Nolan Smith. Sorry, that they would not take, no. No. There's not been, they have said that they would not draft Jalen Carter if he fell to them at 8. But Nolan Smith has been talking real hard about Atlanta taking him. So, they could do it. And then I also think that they are in the market for potentially Tyree Wilson, another edge. And then, of course, they are in the market for Will Anderson. I think they're also in the market to trade up for Will Anderson as well. But they only have 8 draft picks, so they're going to have to dip into next year's draft picks if they want to accomplish that. And they also have a glaring need at wide receiver. They could start their wide receiver too, but they definitely need someone in this draft. And they also need a slot guy, someone with speed. You could get that in free agency, but you at least need to draft one, at least fairly early. The cornerback they could draft, but they have plenty of depth, and inside the offensive line is the position I think that they could draft, but they also planning to sign somebody. They have picks in rounds 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They've had a very good offseason in my opinion so far. What you doing? You just hide in the corner. I see you. Moving on to pick 9 is the Chicago Bears. They have 10 picks this year. They traded back from pick 1 to 9. They need 3 offensive linemen, maybe 4, and they need 3 defensive linemen, maybe 4. Hello. They need 1 corner, maybe 2. They need a linebacker, maybe 2. They need a wide receiver as well, in my opinion. Even though this might be their best depth position, I still think they need somebody. Then moving on to pick 10, the Eagles, the NFC champion Eagles. They have needs at running back, wide receiver, slot, kind of, not really. They could use a guard, defensive line, and safety. So what does that mean? It means I think they're going to take a corner in the first round. Hello, thank you. Because they are a team that drafts ahead of their needs, and I think Darius Slay has 1, maybe 2 years left there. This is life, friend. I think they're going to take the best corner that falls to them at 10, because I think they're like, wow, we got really lucky to have a 10th overall pick this year. We can either trade back and try again next year, or we can take the lottery pick that got to us. I take the lottery pick. They can only get a great defensive lineman. We don't know each other in real life now. They can either take the best defensive lineman on the board, or the best corner on the board, or the best whatever players on the board. Thank you for that. I really appreciate that. It's such kind words. There was something else I missed. Oh, I'm glad to hear the compliment on what's in the Dr. Barber video. Okay. If you keep being quiet, I'm taking you to the room. Last warning. Okay, I gotta take him to the other room. He's demanding it now. You pushed me too far. You pushed me to my edge, bud. I shall return. To show that I'm not gone. This thing died. Of course it fucking did. Okay, cool. Oh fuck. I'm not breaking anything. I'm breaking everything. Okay, well. I shall return. It's gonna have to work. I'll be back. Have returned. I hope there's still people to return to. There's more people here than when I left. What the hell? What the hell am I coming back to? What is going on? Oh, I'm always nice, little man. He just has to be taken in the other room. No, he's not hungry. He just ate. Interesting. No, I took the cat to the other room. Is that a what or a who now? I don't know what either of those things are. What was I saying? Yeah, I talked about the top 10 picks. Yeah, but I have to find the energy to do that. It's hard. It's so hard. My life's so hard. Sorry, I'm making fun of myself. Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to my first 2023 NFL mock draft. Wow, can you believe it? I think there is a very high chance they take Andy Richardson if he's there, but I don't think they will. I think they want edge. I think they basically committed to it. I'll talk about it when I get to there. We're gonna start the draft now. With the first pick, I think the Carolina Panthers. I'm gonna say it in the mic. I'm gonna whisper it. Oh yeah, I'm gonna whisper it. So because y'all are just so nice. Take a sip of this. Okay, remember this is the one with no trades. I go through it relatively quickly. Get real close to you. I'm gonna get real close. With the first pick in the 2023 NFL, Phantasm ASMR mock draft flavors. That will be Capri Sun cherry flavor. I think I am missing my Lunchable. I got so distracted once again. Hello, welcome to the 2023 NFL mock draft by Phantasm ASMR. We have the Carolina Panthers picking first overall, and they will be taking C.J. Stroud. And moving on to the second overall pick, the Houston Texans. The Houston Texans, hopefully to be replaced by the Houston Roughnecks. We'll be taking Bryce Young. Moving on to the third pick, we have the Arizona Cardinals taking Will Anderson Jr., defensive end from Alabama. Moving on to the fourth pick, we have Anthony Richardson going to the Colts. We have Jalen Carter going 5th overall to the Seahawks. We have Tyree Wilson going 6th overall to the Lions. And we have Will Levis going 7th overall to the Raiders, the Las Vegas Raiders. And then we have the Atlanta Falcons taking Nolan Smith at a bit of a reach. But I think that's what they'll do. Moving on to pick 9, we have the Chicago Bears drafting Paris Johnson, the offensive tackle from Ohio State. Moving on to 10, we have the Philadelphia Eagles taking Witherspoon from the cornerback from Illinois. He will immediately start in the slot cornerback position for them, the nickelback. And we have the Tennessee Titans taking Broderick Jones, the offensive tackle from Georgia. And we move on to the 12th overall pick. We have the Houston Texans getting a wide receiver for their new second overall quarterback, and that's going to be Jackson Smith-Njigba, the first receiver off the board. And we have the New York Jets keeping their 13th overall pick because Aaron Rodgers is not worth a 13th overall pick in this year's draft. They are going to be taking Christian Gonzalez, who in this draft falls a little bit. In reality, he won't fall this far because some team will trade up for him, in my opinion. Moving on to pick 12. Sorry, no. Pick 14, we have the New England Patriots taking Zay Flowers. Now we have the 15th overall pick is the Green Bay Packers taking Quentin Johnston with the 15th pick. And Washington, moving into the next pick, Washington takes Joey Porter Jr. The next pick is Pittsburgh taking, I can't remember his first name, Harrison, the tackle from Oklahoma. Then we have Detroit taking Michael Mayer at 18, the first tight end off the board. And then we have Tampa Bay taking Peter Skoronski, the first guard off the board. He's a tackle, but he's going to be moved to guard, which is why he's falling so far down. He might be taken by Washington, though. Seattle is taking the best defensive tackle on the board, which might not be him. It might be the guy from Mississippi State. But this is Osiris Torrance going to Seattle. Pick 20, we have the Los Angeles Chargers at pick 21 taking Lucas Van Ness. He should go earlier than this, but this is just how the board kind of fell. And I think they'd pair him well with Joey Bosa, a technical kind of edge rusher. Pair that with the athletic freak and strength of Lucas Van Ness, and you might have something there. Moving to 22, we have the Baltimore Ravens taking Bijan Robinson, the best running back in the class, or the first one off the board at least. Remember when I said the thing about depth charts? Yeah, the Gus Edwards is still there, and sure, J.K. Dobbins is still there. That hasn't worked yet. I love both those players, but that hasn't worked yet. Just about the rest of the board is pretty good. they need a receiver, but like it's kind of a not stacked. It's kind of a crowded receiver room, and I don't think they'd take a first round pick in response to that. Running back though, best one in the class. I feel like they could bite on that. I feel like when the Ravens are a team that could bite on that because he should go in the back half of the first round anyway. So Bijan Robinson picked 22 to the Baltimore Ravens. Pick 23, Minnesota Vikings taking Kelee Ringo from Georgia, cornerback. The Jacksonville Jaguars taking, DeJuan Jones, right tackle from Ohio State. Then we have the New York Giants taking, I think it's Deontay Banks, the cornerback from Maryland. And then we have the Dallas Cowboys taking Dalton Kincaid, the tight end from Utah. Then we have the Buffalo Bills taking Brian Brees, the defensive tackle from Clemson. We have the Cincinnati Bengals taking Brian Branch, the safety from Alabama. We have the New Orleans Saints taking Myles Murphy, the defensive end from Clemson. We have Philadelphia with their second first-round pick taking Kalijah Kancey, the defensive tackle from Pittsburgh. People compare him to Aaron Donald, but that's kind of a high comparison, so you might be setting the kid up for kind of failure, but I hope he does well. And then we got another defensive tackle off the board. It'll probably be the Mississippi guy, but Gavion Dexter. Do you remember if this is the same guy or not? But that's who I have the Chiefs taking in preparation for Chris Jones to potentially hit the market next year. So that's the first round. That's my first NFL mock draft for this year. That was no trades. Obviously, as the end gets closer, we're going to do more trades. But I have good news. We're not done. We're not done, folks. We are not even close. Well, maybe sort of. I have these two little things right here. These are the top 10. I also have a bunch. I can do a bunch more in my head real fast, but I don't really want to. Of like other scenarios. This is like my actual predictions kind of thing. Because obviously, like, this is not gonna like be how it is. Teams are gonna trade. There's not gonna be a trade this first round. So of course I will eventually try to correctly predict the trades, but that's not gonna happen correctly until later on in the year. Like once maybe like another like 2 weeks, it'll be more apparent which teams in the back half are looking to trade up, which teams in the front half are looking to trade back, and which teams in the middle kind of want to go down. Like I have a good idea for now, in terms of like, you know, of which teams in the front want to trade up, and then which teams in the middle want to trade back. But that's it. Hello and welcome, Becca. Stop harassing Miss Becca. Thank you. So I gave you the first round, and we're going to talk about certain teams. So in both of these scenarios here, I have little marks that show like, oh yeah, it's the same guy as I have over here. You know, it shows like that. You bet. So first, it's the same way across. Second, same way across. I don't think the Panthers trade back. I don't think anyone gives them the offer that they are waiting for, and I really hope they don't get that offer. So I think they take their stand pat, take C.J. Stroud at 1, move on. They still have a second round pick. Just move on. You're in a good spot. Take the guy you want. No, ma'am, but like, they just got here. You can't be like, oh, are you part of the inside joke as someone just gets here. You have to be a little more patient than that. That's all. Pick 2. Bryce Young. It's gonna be Bryce Young. It's gonna be Bryce Young. Pretty sure they've figured out it's gonna be Bryce Young. Pretty sure everybody's figured out it's gonna be Bryce Young. Pretty sure Bryce Young figured out it's gonna be Bryce Young. Well, Ms. Doris, your crush has the right to do that. I'm sorry to hear that. But they have the right to their own autonomy. Make yourself better, I guess. That's what I'm trying to do. It is an unfortunate situation, though. It's that stupid saying, love hurts. Well, you didn't even get into that part. You just got to the fabrication part. It still probably hurt. I get it. Feelings aside, hi, hello. Bryce Young's going to be the pick at 2 because CJ Stroud's going to go 1. If CJ Stroud doesn't go 1, then that means Bryce Young probably went 1. But if that doesn't happen, like and Anthony Richardson for some reason goes 1, I talked about this earlier, but if Anthony Richardson for some reason goes 1, Anthony Richardson somehow goes 1, that sends the whole thing into disarray. I already explained earlier how it happened, but I'm going to briefly go and say it again. It would cause someone to trade at 3 to take CJ Stroud or Bryce Young, whoever's available at 3, and that would leave the team at 4 with Will Levis. And that's it. But in this scenario, let's talk about this trade. So I think Arizona wants to trade back. Okay. So I think 1, 2, Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, whatever order, doesn't fucking matter, honestly. We're just gonna stamp those 2 at the top of the draft and just move on. We're just gonna move on. And now we're gonna talk about the real part of the draft, like the real bits, and that's picks 8 through 4. 8 through 3. 8 through 3 is where the actual draft happens. Picks 9, 10, 11, and 12, I think, are almost guaranteed. I think 12 could change, but I think actually all of those could change depending on if a certain scenario were to happen, but I don't think that scenario will happen, so I'm going to give you my predictions of the trades, and then I'm going to tell you about that one scenario. Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, pick 3. Arizona. Waiting for a phone call. You know, they said, all right, here's our asking price. No one's given it to him yet. So here comes draft day. Here comes a few last minute offers. I feel like they're going to get a few of them. They're going to be like, you know, we should take one of these. And then they're going to get their best offer from a team that's a bit aggressive and a team that's a bit short-sighted and a team that has more picks than they need. The Las Vegas Raiders. Now, the potential teams that they could trade with are the Colts at 4, the Seahawks at 5, the Lions at 6, the Raiders at 7, the Falcons at 8. That's literally every team I just mentioned that is going to be changing picks. Every single picks 9 through 12 and picks 1 and 2 are going to be the exact same across the board. I don't think there's a way they really change unless for some reason one of these guys go ahead. So the Las Vegas Raiders, personally, I think that they are okay with taking Will Levis. I think that they are okay with standing put at 7. I think they're okay with going like, you know what, Will Levis is the guy because we're gonna start Jimmy Garoppolo for a year anyway. But that's also the thing. Like, if you're gonna have a guy sit and learn for a whole year, would you rather it be Will Levis, guy with an absolute cannon for an arm, or would you rather it be Anthony Richardson, the guy whose whole entity is a cannon? Like, he's an athletic freak. He's also got a cannon for an arm too, but like Levis's ceiling is not as high as Richardson's, only because of the athleticism. like I said, I think Raiders are fine with Levis is fine. I think the Raiders are fine having Levis be their guy, but I feel like let me start to say it like this: the Raiders are fine with Levis being their guy, but I don't know how content they are with waiting for 7 to take him. And at that point, if they're gonna be trading up anyway, it would probably be to like. It would probably be to 4-3. But even then, like it would just be easy on them to go to 3 and just get the guy they want and just move on. Arizona probably doesn't want to leave the top 10 because they probably want a top 10 corner, top corner. And I could see Christian Gonzalez going from anywhere from 6 to 9, maybe even 10. And then there's also Witherspoon, but I think he goes a little bit after, depending on who picks first. Because like in the no trades mock draft, I have Witherspoon ahead of Gonzalez, but Gonzalez is a better athlete, so I think he's going to end up going ahead of Witherspoon. But Witherspoon is such a good fit for the Eagles, that's why I had him taken there. I have the Raiders trading up to get Anthony Richardson at pick 3, and that's what I have for this. And this is where the draft splits. This is where the true like fork in the road happens. Anthony Richardson gets taken at 3 by the Raiders. It could be the Seahawks. It could be the 49ers. It could be the Raiders. It could be the Seahawks. And it could be the Lions. Hell, it could be the Falcons. But in this scenario, it's the Raiders. I think they have the most firepower, so therefore they make the most sense in this scenario. The Colts are left with a decision. The Colts have a debate to make immediately. They have 3 choices. 1, Will Anderson. It's the same scenario the Panthers are in, except the Panthers would be worse off for that scenario because they would have put themselves directly in it. The Colts did not put themselves directly in this. They just kind of end up in it due to the outside factors moving around them. And also just the placement of the draft order. Top 3 quarterbacks are gone. They probably wanted one of those guys. They're picking at 4. They probably wanted one of those quarterbacks. Now, they could have traded up with the Cardinals 1 spot. They could have done it. They probably will do that, honestly. In reality, they probably will just move up 1 spot and take Richardson. And then the Raiders take... That's what I'm going to have, actually, for my mock draft. Because, like, the actual trade one... You know what? Let's get my pencil. Hello. We are back. We're going to do a live one. Actually, we're going to talk about this before we do the live one. The Colts are left with a decision. They go Will Levis, Will Anderson, Will trade back. They have 3 choices there. They can add Will Anderson to their great defense already and make their defensive line even better. They can add Will Levis and make him the guy that starts after like 4 or 6 games after behind Gardner Minshew. Or they could trade back. But trading back leaves a big risk. Why does it leave such a big risk? Because the teams behind them are the Seattle Seahawks, the Detroit Lions, and the Las Vegas Raiders. I've already explained that those 3 teams are in quarterback grabbing position. one of those teams will trade up probably. If it's not the Indianapolis Colts, which means that those three teams are still in the quarterback. Two of those three teams are still in the quarterback market. They've met. I don't know if Detroit has, but I know Seattle has met with Levis. Like, at least I know that there's interest there, or smoke screen interest. You run the risk of, if you trade back, the quarterback you wanted still being gone, or the quarterback you kind of didn't want still being gone, and then you kick the can another year, which you've made it very clear you're tired of doing. So in these two ones right here, I have. Let's just talk about the Levis one. They in this scenario, which I think is more likely than them trading back, but in this scenario, they're like, man, Richardson did win above us. We don't have a quarterback. Okay, let's just take the quarterback that's left. They're gonna take Will Levis at 4, and that means it's gone 1, 2, 3, 4. That means 4 quarterbacks. Four quarterbacks out of the rip. That means all the other draft positions are untouched. The best players in other positions have been pushed down the board now, which means the draft changes. Will Anderson instead of Jalen Carter at pick 5. Is Jalen Carter better than Will Anderson? Probably. We don't know, but probably. As a prospect, yes. But Jalen Carter has that personality issue. Normally, that doesn't mean anything. That has no association. That, like, to the Seahawks, that doesn't mean shit. But since Will Anderson and Jalen Carter are so close together in terms of what they both need, I think the personality thing is going to be just enough to give Will Anderson the edge. It's funny because he's an edge. So by that, it pushes down the board, which means Will Anderson goes 5th overall to Seattle, and 6th overall goes Jalen Carter. I think Detroit's like, hey, he made a mistake, whatever. Prior to this, I would have thought Christian Gonzalez would have been the pick here prior to free agency, but they signed like 3 corners. So I think they're going to take a defensive end or a defensive tackle or the best player on the board. And I think they want Jalen Carter. And I think in this scenario, they get Jalen Carter. And now here's the trade back part. Arizona has traded back to 7 with the Raiders. They get their pick of best corner or second best edge. I think that not that they want like the edge player, but they don't need the edge player nearly as bad as they do at corner. So I think they're gonna go ahead and take a corner and just immediately like, hey, we got a starter at corner because they need to. And I think that's why they would trade back. Christian Gonzalez is the best athlete of the class in terms of cornerbacks. So I think they'd take him at 7. And that would push Tyree Wilson to 8, and I think Atlanta would take him there. And then it goes Paris Johnson, Witherspoon, Broderick Jones, Jackson Smith-Njigba. And then the other scenario is a team like Atlanta who wants to trade up but isn't willing to go from 8 to 3, but is willing to go to 8 to 4 because Anderson is still on the board after Richardson got drafted. They could trade up, take him. Carter goes 5 because Anderson is still taken. Tyree Wilson goes 6. Gonzalez goes 7 because Arizona's there now. And then Indianapolis goes 8. At 8 goes Will Levis. Got a slightly better value and a slightly cheaper contract as well. That could happen. Or there's also a scenario in which Jalen Carter doesn't get drafted, in which that would push Tyree Wilson a little bit higher up the board for just about everybody. So it would go like Will Anderson off the board, and then Tyree Wilson right behind him, and then Nolan Smith or another edge after him. Let's just do one right now together. You're gonna C.J. Stroud at 1, And we're gonna go Bryce Young at 2. We're gonna keep that going. Keep that the same. No reason to change that. Perfect. And Arizona is going to trade back, but they're only going to trade back one spot. The Arizona Cardinals, the Indianapolis Colts. They're going to take Richardson. And the Cardinals are still going to take Anderson. And then that means Seattle is going to pick Carter at 5. And Tyree Wilson is going to go at 6. And the Raiders are at 7. And that means they would go Will Levis. And then we got Atlanta. And I still think they would go Nolan Smith. They've been in talks with Nolan, apparently. They've had visits with him. They went to the Georgia Pro Day. I think that was for both Carter and him. Even if they say they aren't interested in Carter, I still think they are. I've seen a couple clips of interviews in which Nolan Smith has seemed like pretty intent or pretty sure that Atlanta is interested or that will draft him. So that gives me like a sign. I think they're expecting, like, they think they want edge. I think they want Will Anderson or Tyree Wilson, but I don't think they expect either of them to get to him. But I think they do expect Nolan Smith to be their 8, and I think they are content with doing that. Ideally, you trade back and take him, but if you really think he's that good, if you think he's that good, and he's the next one, like on the class, in your opinion, you don't trade back. And I won't be mad about it. Like, trade back from what, 8 to like, I don't see this. Like, I don't think you can like really do it because like, team behind him. That's Chicago. Sure, I don't think that's a risk. You can pencil them and then take a tackle. I think that's almost guaranteed. But the team behind them is Philadelphia, and they have a player that's just like him on the roster, and Hassan Reddick, who had an extremely productive season. And obviously you can't expect a rookie to replicate Hassan Reddick, but you can, after cap constraints, you can expect a guy whose build is similar to do some similar things, at least in terms of scheme-wise. So I could see them snagging, Nolan Smith at 10 if they really think he's that good. And then, if you're Atlanta, you just kind of fucked yourself. You not only lost out on the top 2 edge rushers, which you already knew that was going to happen, but you've lost the third one now. And you can have those picks to build a more thorough team, but like, the time for building the team has not passed, but like, you've already built the groundwork. It's time to finish it off. Like, the questions for Atlanta are, we need a starter at wide receiver and edge. We might need one at quarterback. I think Desmond Ritter's the answer, but we might need a quarterback next year, which is why I'm hesitant on trading up and getting Will Anderson. If Desmond Ritter had more reps, I'd be like, go. And he shouldn't. He's the guy. Bucket trader first round, go Will Anderson. I don't care. But now, since we don't know if he will be the guy, which I think he will be, I personally really do, but in the off chance he isn't, we don't screw ourselves out of what could be a very good quarterback class next year with Drake May and Caleb Williams. The offense should work because it's going to be mostly run game. And the defense has its pieces. We have 2 good linebackers. We have 3 good defensive linemen now. A prospering edge. and like 2 maybe 3 good depth edges as well, but we don't have the guy at edge. We have a number 1 corner. We have a nickel corner that's kind of questionable in my opinion. We have 2 very good safeties. Sorry, 1 good safety and then 1 in tremendous safety. And then we have a good aging number 2 corner. So we could stand to replace him, but that's not. Do you really want to do that with a first round pick? Because you can't with the 8th overall pick. Because you're supposed to basically immediately put that guy in the starting lineup. You don't want to do that with the cornerback, who's probably not going to be as good as the aging guy. And when you could have cut that aging guy already and saved money. So I think that's why they're like, no, we're going edge. We're just taking edge. Whoever's there at 8, we're taking. I think that's how it is. I think they're going to place an offer to trade up, but I don't think they're going to get it taken. So I think they take Nolan Smith at 8. And I've been convincing myself to be okay with it. I have trauma from the Vic Beasley, what's it called, experiment. But being a bit of a Georgia fan, I do have more affinity for Mr. Nolan Smith. Even if I do worry about his injury history, his athleticism is 100% there. And he does show up in the run game, which is normally what I worry about for players like him. So I'd be happy if we took him at 8. Sure. Do I want Wilson? I think so. Or do I want Will Anderson? Yeah, that's who I want. But I don't really want to trade up to get him, which he knows what I have to do. So that's my Atlanta take. So that's what I'm saying. Nolan Smith to Atlanta at 8. Then we got Chicago at 9, and that's still going to be Paris Johnson. Philly, Witherspoon. Let me elaborate again on why I'm having them take Witherspoon over a guy like Christian Gonzalez, because Christian Gonzalez is a almost exclusively outside corner, just because of his size. Witherspoon has flexibility in his position. You can put him inside, and he also has a great deal of tackling ability and thump to him for such a smaller guy. But he's not that small. He's just smaller. And with Philly, they have an open spot at nickel more than they do at outside. Sure, they could draft Gonzalez and have him like kind of sit for a year, rotate in. Sure, why not? But why would you do that when you're in your developing if you're a developing team? Yeah, absolutely do that. Sure, 100%. But if you're a team that's contending, trying to go to the Super Bowl again, why would you take a guy who you won't get maximum results from until next year, when you can take a guy at the same position and get maximum results now, this year, for the Super Bowl run? You can play inside or outside. You take that guy. You take a position versatility guy, a guy you can play now, on a Super Bowl run kind of type of team. So I think they go Witherspoon. Moving on to Tennessee, they need offensive line. They've been cutting everybody. They are screwed right now. This is going to be a not good year for them, I think. I think they know that. So what better thing to do as a running first team than to start the repair of the offensive line? Sure, you need a receiver desperately. Yeah, you do. But are you a passing team? No, you're a running team. Get a lineman. You could stand to draft a defensive lineman replacement for potentially for Simmons, if you don't pay him, which you probably will. You could draft a safety replacement for Byard if you cut him, which you might. You need a corner still. Like, they have options. They could go a variety of directions. Corner is a spot that would make sense. Like, Gonzalez would be great here for them. But last time they took an athletic guy, he's been injured a lot. Given that's not the same expectation for these two guys, but I think they would favor offensive line more in Tennessee, so they'd be taking the next best tackle on the board after they cut ties with Taylor Lewan. That'd be Broderick Jones. Broderick Jones would immediately slot in a left tackle. And then moving on to Houston, they don't need a tackle. I think they have a good right tackle, but I know they have a good left tackle. They just re-signed Larry Tunsil. They drafted a guard in the first round last year. I'm sure their line's okay and not worth drafting one here. When you desperately need wide receiver help, you have your pick of the board of wide receivers. Hey, you could even draft a tight end if you really wanted to. If you don't think any of the receivers are that worth it, you could draft a tight end. No one will be like, oh, that's outrageous. They'd be like, oh, that's a little crazy, but whatever you think is best for your new quarterback, Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, whichever one it is. In this scenario, it's Bryce Young. You can either get the deep ball guy. You can get whatever guy you want, as long as he exists in this draft. The best receiver in this draft is Jackson Smith, but there's a few other good ones. You know, like really decent guys, and there's going to be a small run on them in a minute. But Jackson Smith, Edgebone, he's the best receiver. He's like, and I think Houston's gonna know that. They're gonna take him, pair him with the playmaking rookie that is Bryce Young, and hope for some fireworks. That's Jackson Smith, Nidge. Yep. Y'all say anything of substance? Now, we are at pick 13. Yeah, we're at pick 13 now. We're the New York Jets. And there's a few very talented players on the board. There are Christian Gonzalez, Zay Flowers, Quentin Johnston, Joey Porter. And then there's even tackles like Peter Skoronski, Harrison, and then the tackle of Michael Meyer available, as well as edge rusher Lucas Van Ness, and running back extraordinaire Bijan Robinson. Any of these players could go next, but I think the most likely one would be Christian Gonzalez, because he's the most talented player left on the board, or most athletic player left on the board. I could see the Jets taking him. I really could be like, hey, we're going to pair you up with Sauce Gardner. We're going to take away DJ Reed after next year, because contract or something like that, and just have the best young cornerback duo in the whole league. Or they could be like, hey, we just probably traded for Aaron Rodgers, or hey, we're probably about to trade for Aaron Rodgers. Let's turn this 13th overall pick into some more draft picks so we can easily trade for Aaron Rodgers, or so in our trading for Aaron Rodgers, we don't lose that much and / can recoup those draft picks and be in a better position than we thought we'd be in. And I think they're going to have somebody willing to give enough for that if they have the right person fall down the board. And I think in this scenario, Christian Gonzalez is the right person to fall down the board. Now the question is, who wants him? Who wants him? Is it Washington? Is it Green Bay? Is this the trade that they make for that? Is this really it? Probably not. It sounds way too convoluted for that. New England trade up one spot. They won't trade to the division player. They probably won't unless they feel like that's not the guy that they want. Could Pittsburgh do it? Yeah. Could Detroit do it? Yeah. Could the Chargers do it? Yeah. Could the Ravens do it? Oh, absolutely. To get up, I'm gonna go and make some assumptions here and just pick a team because that'd be better for content. But I'm gonna say for the future, this top 10, top 12 that I've done so far is probably going to replicate throughout the next month until the draft actually happens. I'm going to talk about scenarios, but I feel like unless something changes, this is my expectation for the top of the round. That being said, I feel like the next 21 picks, 19, the next 19 picks will have a good amount of trades in them. The best way to predict those trades is to see which teams have extra draft picks, which is why I predicted the Raiders to trade up, but situation doesn't really allow it. It does allow it, but I don't think it allows it to be as likely as the Colts to trade up just one spot. Had I not seen how many draft picks the Raiders had, I would have been like they're 100% just sticking at 4 and taking Levis. But now I don't know that. And I'm going to go, like I said, I'm going to just guesstimate here. I'm just going to guesstimate on some random teams. I could be wrong. They could not have the proper draft picks to trade up and do it. The closer draft gets, the more inaccurate this is going to get, I think. So, but until then, like I said, this is good for content. So we're going to go ahead and take a guesstimation. I think Washington wants a corner. But I don't think they're in position to trade up because I think if their quarterback strikes out this year and Sam Howell, I think that they are in position to take a Drake May or Caleb Williams potentially if they trade up next year, like the Falcons might. So I feel like that kind of eliminates them. Detroit could do it. I really could see Detroit doing it, but the team, I really just think the Vikings would do it. So I'm just gonna go ahead and do it, even if it doesn't make sense in terms of draft pick wise. I'm still gonna just because I don't know what the draft picks look like. I'm just gonna put it because it makes sense to me in terms of right now. Now I'm gonna move the New York Jets, and they're outside of the conference from each other, so it makes it more likely for them to actually trade with each other. And Christian Gonzalez trading up right ahead of the Packers and the Patriots, but more importantly, the Packers snagging a cornerback there that they might have had their eyes on. In that case, it's going to be Zay Flowers. The next spot, nothing changes again because they don't have access to Gonzalez, which is the Packers. So they take Quentin Johnson, the number 2-3 receiver. He might be the number 1 in some people's eyes, but he's the 3 in terms of I think the NFL will view him. Washington doesn't have the firepower to trade up, so they just take Joey Porter, who is not a bad pick at pick 16. And then you got Pittsburgh taking the best tackle available, whoever they may view that as. It might be Skoronski, it might not be. Also, Skoronski might go to Washington, but I think if Porter's there, I think they'll take Porter. Detroit, I still think they'll take Michael Mayer. Their head coach used to play tight end. Their head coach just traded away their tight end. I think he traded away their tight end because he was like, hey, there's like 6 guys in the next draft that I could start and get the equal amount of production from this guy. Yeah, get rid of him. And why not take the best one of those? Then Skoronski to the Bucks. Is there any incredible talent still on the board? Oh, Bijan. Van Ness is also available. don't know. Over how much? Been going for a hot minute, haven't we? Yeah, this probably won't be going on for much longer. I'm gonna keep going. Yeah, I do skip all the games. Don't tell them that though. That's how I lose my job. It would probably be a team wanting to trade up ahead of for a guard or a tackle. They probably view Pittsburgh and Tampa Bay in that spot, and Washington. They probably offer Washington something. I think Washington would say no because Joey Porter's there. Anthony Harrison, they take him there. They don't trade back. The Lions might trade back. The Lions could trade back if offered something good because. Someone to trade up ahead for Skoronski. Who needs a guard / tackle? Buffalo. Buffalo. I'm just gonna do it. Fuck it. Hello, you sweet people. I hope you're having a wonderful night. Thank you guys for listening so intently. I appreciate y'all. So now Tampa is in a weird spot because their lineman they were about to take just went off the board. They're a team that's gonna have to retool some things. They could take a quarterback here. They probably won't. They don't need a receiver that badly. They could go running back. They could go Bijan. I don't think they'd go corner because they just did they resign both of them? No, they resigned Dean, but I don't know if Corey something. I have him go corner. I think so. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have him go corner. Okay, hear me out. Dallas trades up. Yeah. Dallas trades up and takes Lucas Van Ness. Why? Because he's an edge rusher who's very athletic and he looks like Adonis, and I feel like that's going to be enough for Jerry Jones. And Jerry Jones is also going to be like, there's another linebacker with a Van in his name. Get him on my team now. That's my Jerry Jones impression. So in this scenario, the Cowboys would trade up to take Van Ness and pair him with Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence. And, kind of nasty. I don't like that. But also, they've shown that they've drafted a linebacker in the first round whose name was Van something. What was fucking Somethingberg. Leighton Vander Esch, that's what it is. Vander Esch. Leighton Vander Esch. So that's going to push Michael Meyer and am I losing my mind? I think I'm losing my mind. I'm taking this off. I'm too warm. How's everybody doing? Grape juice. Excuse me. What are you thinking for Seattle? Let's consult my list of needs. They need 3 offensive linemen and a D lineman and an edge potentially. They should draft the best interior offensive lineman right here. Whoever is left. I have a way of looking him up. I think they just draft the best guard. I don't remember. I can't remember his name. I'm just gonna. The Minnesota center. That's my pick for Seattle at 20. Thank you. You're not getting that. You won't get my name. I like my anonymity. It's better that way. Only because like it gives me peace of mind. Like I don't know y'all people. Some of y'all might be weird, I don't know that. I don't want to give the ones that might be a volatile like person to find out, like, you know, just kind of like stalk me. I don't want that. I don't want to get stalked. And so why shouldn't I make it? It's just a little bit harder to get stalked. So it's kind of not enjoyable being asked over and over for it. Which also, even if you found out my real name, you wouldn't believe me, so that's fun anyway. Moving on to the Chargers. Who would they take? Receiver? I think they want Zay Flowers, but I think he's gone. Yeah, that's my name. I am Phil O'Simon. You have caught me. Also, I feel like instead of the Minnesota center, I don't know who the best guard is in this class other than Skoronski. So I feel like Seattle would take the best guard available, and it might be Torrance. I don't know if he's a guard or if he's a defensive tackle. I feel like he's a defensive tackle. But I feel like they take the best guard, best interior offensive lineman. It's probably going to be the center, but I feel like they end up taking a guard. Moving on to pick the Chargers, 21. What do they need? I see them drafting edge to replace Khalil Mack. I think they're going to go corner instead. Based on the talent that's available. I feel like they go Kili Ringo. I'm just gonna listen to my gut here. Yeah. Baltimore's still gonna go Bijan Robinson. No, actually, I'm no, I'm not. I'm gonna leave it there. Who are the Jets gonna take though? Who did the Jets take? Who did the Jets take? They could go DeJuan Jones, but I honestly don't think they do. Because I still think they're gonna try for Mekhi Becton. And this is supposed to be like a Super Bowl type year, and I don't think you can really put DeJuan Jones at guard. I don't really expect it to work easily. That's tackle. Yeah. Yeah. I think so. Yeah, defensive tackle. They're gonna go defensive tackle. I think Osiris Torrens as a guard. I think I'm not certain. If not, then they're gonna go the guard from what's that called? Hello. This is that. That is this. I think he said they're guard defensive tackle. Either way that works, but I think it's defensive tackle. Might be the Florida guy. I'm not certain. Given that might be Dexter at the bottom. I really don't know. You know what? We're gonna change that. We're gonna go with Elijah Cansey. We're gonna go with Elijah Cansey. Cansey, there we go. The Jets take Elijah Cansey after a trade back with the Minnesota Vikings. Jacksonville Jaguars still take DeJuan Jones. New York Giants, they could stand to draft a guard, but I think they more so need a corner. And I think the best one here is Deontay Banks. Oh, sweet dreams, Hush. You're being too kind to me. I think. Thank you, friend. Thank you, friend. I appreciate the monies. Deontay Banks, cornerback to the New York Giants. Now, this was the Dallas Cowboys spot, but it's now the Tampa Bay Buccaneers spot. And what do they need? Quarterback. This might be the spot. Do I put Malik Hooker in the first? It's either Malik Hooker Yeah, I don't. No, I don't. I'm not gonna put Malik Cook in the first. No, at least not here. I think. I think based on them signing Baker, he's gonna start most of the year, if not all of it, and then you can, if if you're bad next year, just take in the Drake May and Caleb Williams sweepstakes. I think if you take Hooker, it kind of eliminates that. You can take him in the second or third, that's fine. But if you take him in the first, you can't go back to back first round quarterbacks. You can, but not unless you're in a decent spot for it, like Arizona was however long ago. So that means they would not take that. We might go guard. It might go guard here. It might go corner. They could go edge, and for depth, mountain. No, they wouldn't do that because of that. And I'm kind of stumped. Yeah, I had a feeling y'all wanted an offense. This is a response to the Viper King. Chargers, I figure y'all want a receiver, something that adds explosion to the offense. A tight end would be nice too, yeah, but like a good one. So you could go with that. But I feel like y'all are gonna go defense just to, like, because y'all need a little bit more help in that department because it wasn't quite good. And I feel like y'all are kind of gonna be like, oh no, the offense is still good. We kept Allen, we kept Williams. They're gonna be not injured this year, which like that's true. But you should add some explosion to it. But Zay Flowers is taken in this mock, and the tight ends have not been taken yet, which I think the main reason for that is because there's like 4 really good ones that are kind of like on that upper tier, even if for different reasons, but they're all in that upper tier. So a lot of teams are kind of going to be like kind of prioritize other positions because there's only going to be 1 or 2 guys in those positions that they need a certain thing for, and then the tight end is not entirely a premium position, and they can dip on it in the second round and get somebody good enough. So I think that's a lot of teams' thought process. So they're going to avoid a first round tight end pick. But I have Detroit definitely going to take it first round tight end, especially with how the board's fallen, and how they ended up trading back into prime tight end taking territory. And I'm debating on having the Buccaneers take one too. The 4 tight ends that I think that come to mind are Sam Laporta, Dalton Kincaid, Darnell Washington, and Michael Mayer. Do you all hear that? I'm really stumped here, man. Quarterback doesn't make sense for that reason, so I'm not going to do it. So I traded back. This is hard. I might just put the next corner. Yeah, at this point, I'd kind of need more of the players because I'm kind of falling off. Wow, there's so many of you here now. What the hell? It's because I've been going for so long? Maybe something like that. I don't know. Hello. You know what? I'm gonna put Brian Brees. Fuck it. And then Detroit, you're still gonna take Michael Meyer. And Cincinnati is gonna take Brian Branch. I can see them taking a tight end also. Could definitely see them taking somebody like Sam Laporta here, but I think that Brian Branch being available there, I think they're gonna be like, we could keep our elite safety duo and do it for basically free and cheap. Cadillac, some butterflies. You know, you make a good point. Cadillac Coupe de Ville. I'm a big fan of that. I'm a big fan of Southern Playlist of Cadillac Music, that album by Outkast. And your comment made me think about that grape juice. Now, did I see earlier you said you had a channel? Grape juice. Grape juice channel 1. I'm gonna check for it later. I don't know if that's correct. I can't do it from here, but maybe. Is it an ASMR channel, ma'am? Thank you for your patronage. And I must say, everybody who's watching, you should check that out. If not now, then then. Because I'm almost done with this anyway. I'm very close to being done. We have like what, a few picks left, and then we're gonna say bye. I've done. It would be like 2 3/4, 3 basically, and 2. No, let's say 2, 2.5 mock drafts, basically together. And some talk about it. This has been long overdue. NFL draft's coming up, baby. We got a month away. And it's gonna be so fun. But I think like I said, I think the Cincinnati Bengals will take on the best safety in the draft at 29, 28, 28. Even if that's a bit early for the projected safety market. Because I've read a bunch of reports like, oh, Brian Branch is supposed to fall the second round of the draft. People aren't that high on Brian Branch as a lot of people are. Like, league execs don't love Brian Branch. Well, okay, that's gonna push him down the board, and that always happens to safeties. But I feel like a team that is in the back end of the first is gonna look at a safety and be like, he's good. We just lost our best safety. Hey, he doesn't fit the same spot, but I think he will do a fine job of taking the other spot away from the one that can fill his spot, if you know what I mean. So I think Brian Branch to Cincinnati makes a lot of sense. We're going to keep Myles Murphy in New Orleans. I think it makes sense. Replacing Davenport. And they lost a bunch of their defensive linemen anyway, so they need help there. Now they have 2 spots left, and we have a spot where I had 2 defensive tackles going. Now I have that defensive tackle I had going, drafted earlier. So now it becomes a game of who the fuck is left. Because we got the Eagles and the Chiefs. Those are the last 2 teams in this draft. The Eagles' needs are on the D line and the O line. I don't see them drafting a tackle. They definitely won't draft a tackle. I don't see them drafting a guard here. I can see them drafting Bijan here, but I don't think Bijan's going to be left here. I think a lot of the teams in this area are like kind of fingers crossed for Bijan, but I don't think he's going to last there. I think someone knows that they'll have to go ahead of Baltimore to get him, but I don't know if anybody will. I could see like someone do it like with Seattle, trade it with Seattle to get ahead of Baltimore. But a team that would have to do that would have to be like Cincinnati, Philly, and you'd have to give up a good bit to go up nine spots in the first. Almost did it. Not gonna do it though. I'm gonna stick with the 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 trades. I had 4 trades in the first round. I could see 5. I almost had 5th, but we're gonna have to stick with 4 trades in the first round. And now we just need Philly's draft pick and then Kansas City's draft pick. It would be a defensive lineman. It would be a good replacement. That might go Will McDonald. That might be the pick. I think we're gonna go Will McDonald. Yeah, I don't know what Power Chat is. I'll look into it though. Power Chat? Yeah, I know YouTube takes like 30%. It's stupid. Interesting take on the 49ers, by the way. I think they're good. I think they could. They were my pick last year, I think. But I don't like Purdy that much. What makes the Eagles, like, impossible to beat? I don't want to talk about it. I had the Colts going all the way. That was very wrong. Everything else is pretty much right, but that was very wrong. I'm not gonna go Will McDonald. They want to add to the edge department for the future term and also like to tackle for the future term, both for the future term, because Graham and Cox are both going to be gone next year probably. Maybe not, but probably. And Karen to get a replacement. Will McDonald can also fill in for Hassan Reddick, who's got versatility. Who else is a defensive lineman that could be drafted early? Yeah, that's good. He's a bit old, but that's good. It gives a good enough idea of what I'm looking for, what I expect, even if that's not 100% accurate. Miles Murphy would fit perfectly fine here if the Saints decide to go with a different route, but I feel like they're definitely going to go with defensive line because they need defensive linemen. And then Kansas City, the last pick, like I said, I think they're going to go defensive tackle. Don't know who that's going to be. The Mississippi one, maybe. Who else? I like Witherspoon more than Gonzalez, I'm being real with you. I haven't watched like all the tapes yet, but like Gonzalez's thing is that he's super athletic and he's like talky and gets in the head of his ears and plays good man coverage. I love that. I love that. But a cornerback who can play slot and like outside and fuck up a running back and run support, that's my dude. I don't care if he's like 15 pounds lighter than the other guy. He plays heavier. That's Witherspoon. I like Witherspoon more. I also really like Joey Porter. Like, Porter's fun. Cornerback's a really fun position to watch. Well, at least the fun ones. The ones that are bad, it's very frustrating. You know, we're just going to keep the same pick as before. Gavion Dexter. That's what we're going to do. There's probably going to be a guard taken up in there somewhere. Like, you know what? I don't know. Actually, I would almost changed Osiris Torrance to the Philadelphia pick, but the reason I didn't is because I can't quite remember if Osiris Torrance is a guard or a defensive tackle, which, again, either way, that would work. Yeah, fuck it, we're doing that. Osiris Torrance. Will McDonald's cool, but he's 24, so I think that's going to push him down a little bit. Torrance. There we go. There we have it. I'm going to read through the list again, what the draft we made during so, which included trades. We have C.J. Stroud going first overall to the Carolina Panthers. We have Bryce Young going second overall to the Houston Texans. We have the Indianapolis Colts trading up to take Anthony Richardson. We have the Arizona Cardinals trading down and taking Will Anderson Jr. We have the Seattle Seahawks taking Jalen Carter. We have the Detroit Lions taking Tyree Wilson. We have the Las Vegas Raiders taking Will Levis. We have the Atlanta Falcons taking Nolan Smith. The Chicago Bears taking Paris Johnson. The Philadelphia Eagles taking Witherspoon, the cornerback. We have the Tennessee Titans taking Broderick Jones. The Houston Texans taking Jackson Smith-Njigba. The Minnesota Vikings trading up to take Christian Gonzalez. The New England Patriots taking Zay Flowers. The Green Bay Packers taking Quentin Johnson. The Washington Commanders taking Joey Porter. The Pittsburgh Steelers taking Harrison. The Buffalo Bills trading up to take Peter Skoronski. The Dallas Cowboys trading up to take Lucas Van Ness. The Seattle Seahawks taking the best interior offensive lineman on the board. Khalil Ringo going to the Los Angeles Chargers. The Baltimore Ravens taking Bijan Robinson. The New York Jets trading back and taking Kalijah Kancey. The Jacksonville Jaguars taking DeJuan Jones. The New York Giants taking Deontay Banks. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers trading back and drafting Brian Brees. The Detroit Lions trading back and drafting Michael Mayer. The Cincinnati Bengals drafting Brian Branch. The New Orleans Saints drafting Miles Murphy. The Philadelphia Eagles drafting Osiris Torrance. And the Kansas City Chiefs drafting Gavion Dexter. That's my first round. I hope you all have enjoyed. Smooches. Can you see the handwriting? Sure. It's like slanted and all. That's what it looks like. Thank you for the compliments, people. Very kind. Oh no, not you doing the thing. Yeah, I write slanted. You know what time it is? You know what time it is? See, I haven't, Raul. Thank you for the question. Thank you for your elaborating on it. I love your like the elaboration of it. I haven't, like I said, I haven't watched all the tapes yet, so I've mostly just kind of grazed. But I haven't. I will watch for that whenever I do actually go over the details, because I hate when a quarterback is handsy. Like I don't like drafting. I don't like when teams draft them, or when I would draft them. I don't like that because it just leads to pass interference calls. Like you have to be on the right team to kind of get away with it. Like the Saints got away with it for some reason. They pass interference more than any other team, and they rarely get it called. They finally started getting it caught up to them or catch up to them, whatever. But even then, it's still not perfect, and they still get away with it a bunch. And it just doesn't work for other teams. Like also Sauce Gardner. I'm not good at the makeup. Sauce, I love having makeup done to me though. Sauce Gardner is a very handsy corner. He's very good, but he's very handsy. Holds up a lot and pass interference a good bit, and they don't call it because of how much of a big name he is. / he's in New York. The calls don't go the other way for other players. I did a mock for the whole thing, the whole first. The 49ers don't have a first round pick, so I did not know. I don't even know what the 49ers need, to be honest. Let's think. Safety, maybe? No. They have two guns. They good ones. Another outside corner. Yeah, they lost one. They could need an outside corner. They could stand to add another receiver. In my opinion. They don't need to, though. I don't know how your offensive line is, to be honest. I know Trent Williams is insane, but outside of that, I don't know anything. I know McGlinchey is gone, so I know you need to tackle. I don't know if you already have one on the roster or not. So that's my review of the 49ers. What maybe want to do, like what we want to do ASMR is that I've been watching it for years and it helped me go to sleep. And I had some ideas for it that people weren't doing. So I tried my hand at it. And y'all like me, so I still do it. Also, I have fun with it. There's other ones I need to do, like other ideas that I've been pushing off, and stuff like that. But like, most of the ideas that are accessible or easily done without high-end production, I've done. So I'm proud of that. The short ASMR videos are like a way for me to one, upload every day and not stress me out and not be like grindy. But it also works as a preview video for the other channels, and it also works as a way to show my channel in other places. And it's like a whole nother like place to get spread. Because you know how like you just said at the ASMR community, like there's a whole short version of the ASMR community. I personally didn't get it at first either. I was like, I want to like go into it and fall asleep during the video. But now I've started watching them and I get it. I'm like, oh, 1 minute, like it's gonna be faster and more intense, and it's like it's supposed to just relax you for just a minute. Maybe even give you tingles for just that minute. Or if it's like 5 minutes and you can fall asleep within that time, good on you. I normally can, but like I don't try to, but I can. It makes a lot of sense. It has too many benefits to not do, so I do them. And typically, if you see me doing a bunch of them and not having a long version, it means that a long version is already on Patreon, or I'm not feeling very motivated at the time, which happens. But I still make sure I have something recorded for y'all every day, even if I have to panic and do it last minute. It's my PC. I was like, well, my computer, not my PC. What motivates me? A lot of things. I'm tired, so that's one thing that's gonna motivate me. I think I'm gonna finish up here. Once again, this is the mock. So I'm too tired. To be like, oh, is it fear? Is it desire to be great? Is it like monetary aspects? Like, is it desire to escape like fucking just traditional job? Like, what is it? Like, is it to expand like my not image, but my artistic reach? Like, there's just so many. There's so many doing. I can't figure out which ones are the top, so I just listed a bunch to you. Am I a criminal? Am I a criminal? Uh-oh. Uh-oh, I'm a criminal. Uh-oh, it's me, a criminal. Me doing criminal things. I'm criminaling. Guys, I'm doing a criminal. I'm doing what's a better word? Ne'er-do-well. I'm doing a ne'er-do-well. I can't. probably could, but I'm not gonna try to, because I'm pretty sure it'd make me cough, and that's not pleasant for your ears. I'm gonna say goodbye now. Good night, sweet dreams. I hope I stopped the record. I'll figure it out. Good night, sweet dreams. You are loved. Thank you for being here. Happy football season. Yeah. Good night.